All right, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Vays. Sorry, haven't done videos in like a couple of days. Just got so busy, crazy. I'm in Miami now, so that's awesome. Was hanging out at the Pleb event last night, and let's do some charts. I don't even know where I'm going tonight yet, but I got so many events the next day. It's yeah, kind of nuts around here. I have not kept up with any politics news other than arguing in my chat group this morning for like 3 hours, which is a total waste of time. I'm going to stop doing that completely as well because it's just a waste of time. I mean, you don't catch up on the news. So there's not going to be any commentary today because I'm just so far behind until I catch up. But we can talk price. Let's talk price. The new month has started, and the current month's candle is in between two moving averages, so it doesn't really tell us anything. Okay, we need to get at least above the next moving average. Hopefully we can get up to the top of the triangle and then pull back. Looks like we avoided a major disaster for now, and we are not sitting below the intermediate moving average. But it doesn't mean we completely avoided it. The moving average crossover is still coming. It's very rare that these monthly moving averages cross. And when they do, it also tends to be pretty disastrous. This was the only time we were able to avoid it, but that's when the intermediate moving average just came into existence. Very different situation, okay? Let's hope we can avoid this, but if we do pull back into the triangle, we will not be able to avoid it. Okay. Well, let me rephrase that because that made no sense. If we do pull back into the bottom of the triangle, the moving averages will touch, but they don't have to necessarily cross. Though, as you can see, if I zoom in, they are crossing right here if the average price stays here, right? But if we go up, this will certainly alter the short-term moving average. You can see how big of a drop it'll take if the next candle is in the same place as current candle. But if the next two candles go up and they mimic these prices, then we can avoid this death cross. Weekly chart. The weekly chart is not very useful either. That's the first day of the chart. Oh, we're dropping a little bit. This was looking good yesterday and early this morning. We are dropping. We're still holding the moving average. As long as the weekly chart stays above $42,600, it is not of very great concern. Okay. Now, I am leaning bullish here, but this pullback on a weekly scale back to 42.5 is not the end of the world. But if we go below the short-term moving average, if we go below 42,000, that is a big problem. I think we will avoid that. I don't think we're going to go below 42,000, but if we do, that is some serious trouble on the weekly timescale. This is our allocation chart. We are bullish in this market right now, but I am not adding to my position yet. Okay. Now, the time you could have added to your position at 47.5, but if I'm gonna, take the hit on not putting stuff to hindsight, I'm gonna give myself the benefit of the doubt as well. And because I didn't stream in the last 2 days, and I did not stream when the price was at this point in time, I did not add anything to my position. However, I don't really want to add anything to my position until a candle starts trading above the prior candle's high. As you can see, last candle we had did not trade above the prior candle's high, and current candle did not trade above the prior candle's high. So now I would need the next candle to trade above current candle's high, which it also is not doing. And if it does, that means I would need next candle to start trading above $47,500. Now, it would kind of suck if current candle drops all the way down to say 44, 43,000. And then I would buy the dip, okay? So where are my two buying opportunities? Let me draw this as a horizontal channel. My current buying opportunity is either above the break of current candle's high on next candle, or it is at the dip. Now, where is the dip? Well, this candle, the dip is at the moving average support. Next candle, it is right there where that dot is, but this dot will be lower if the price keeps going down. Either way, and I'm going to make this channel green, not purple. These are my buying zones, okay? My buying zone is break out of the channel or the bottom of the channel for the dip. Now, if the next candle gets stuck, let's say I get really busy all week long and I'm not able to make another video. This is where my buying opportunities are next candle. Let's say the next candle is a doji candle, okay? The next candle is a doji candle. And the top of the next candle is, let's say it's at $46,000. That's the high of next candle. That means this buying opportunity would now go above that candle's high. Or, oh boy, or the dip. But where would the next dip be? Well, the next dip would probably be a little bit higher, okay? So you can start to see how this by the dip or by the breakout will start to get shorter and shorter in range based on where the next candle would be, okay? So that's what you have to prepare for. I deleted the channel. I don't know why. I'm just gonna keep it deleted. Next candle, we should have a moving average crossover, and that's a pretty bullish condition. And I like that condition, but I'm only gonna buy the dip if we come in and get very close or touch that moving average, okay? For now, I will just leave a 40% bullish allocation. All right, the financial summit. I'm so ready to start soliciting people for this right after the conference here in Miami is over. Speaking of conference here in Miami, I just tweeted out the following, well, besides that. So if you guys, my friends over at Edge Wallet, as you guys know, I am friends with the guys at Edge Wallet. I'm very disappointed. They have so many shit coins on that wallet. But I do like the CEO of that wallet, Paul Play. I've met the team. I've hung out with the team. I've known these guys since the day they launched the wallet. So I like those guys. And they had an extra ticket to give away to the Bitcoin conference by Bitcoin Magazine. And I decided to tweet it out, help them promote a little bit. And so if you want a free ticket, just, like everything, follow all of us. Follow the conference, follow Bitcoin Magazine. I'm assuming you're following me. If you're watching this, follow Edge Wallet, and retweet, and comment. Comment's very important, right? We don't want to randomly pick some frog on Twitter that happened to retweet this or liked it. Give us a reason why you want to come to the conference, and you're able to come to the conference. We don't want to give away a ticket to someone that isn't going. No, you win a free ticket. I mean, that's what they told me, right? Free ticket, not a 10% discount, free ticket. Okay, free ticket to give away. All right. So, yeah, if you're give us a reason why, and we'll pick someone that really wants to come and is able to come. The able to come part is very important. We don't want people scalping these tickets, right? You get a free ticket. It's for you to come, not for you to make money at. Okay, daily chart. Let's talk daily chart. Oh, by the way, shout out to my friend Anthony in Phuket. I didn't know this was on my Instagram page. But if you're in Phuket and you want a shirt, if you want a tone-based shirt, this is where you can get a tone-based. You can tell them, hey, I want a tone-based shirt. That's a tone-based shirt. That's a shirt that was designed by Tom Vays, and he'll make you one. I can't wait to go there and get some new shirts. That's also a Tom Vays shirt. I don't wear this one much. Oh no, it's not a Tom Vays shirt. It's a little different. But I have a shirt that's like I might have lost it actually. Unfortunately, I lose too many shirts traveling the world. That's close to a Tom Vays. Anyway, shout out to Emotions Dinner Theater, where I spend a bunch of time hanging out. There it is, Emotions Dinner. Cool. If you're in Panama City, this is the spot to be in Panama City. Absolutely awesome. The show is from like 8 to 11 p.m. Great food too. Okay, back to the charts. Tone, what are your thoughts on the $32,000 gap on the CME? I couldn't care less. Filled or not completely filled, I couldn't care less. Irrelevant or irrelevant? Irrelevant. Okay. Daily chart. The daily chart is just consolidating. It's not very interesting. As you guys know, I called this pullback. I believe there is a high probability that the low price for the pullback is over. I don't really want to see a new low close. I don't want to see a daily closing low below 45,500. If we do get a daily closing low below 45,500, I will then be more concerned about this low being the low of the pullback. So as long as we do not close a daily candle below 45.5, I will have a high probability chance that the $44,000 low is here to stay. Once we close below 45.5 on a daily scale, I will be skeptical that this is the low and we could have a lower low as we continue to wait for a golden cross. As of right now, this second, in this point in time, and probably for the next 40 seconds, I will still believe in these two arrows that I have drawn. Oh, so I can't pull up the next chart, unfortunately. So don't tell me. Okay, maybe the other ones work. I can get this to work if I disconnect from. Oh, maybe it'll work. Is it gonna work? I don't think it's gonna work. Sorry guys, I can't pull it up. I don't know, for some reason when I keep flipping around Wi-Fi's, I have so many tabs open because I need to catch up on the Ukraine situation that I'm not ready to restart my computer, so it's acting a little slow. But I have two missions for, well, today I actually have to do my taxes, so I won't even get to the Ukraine thing today. GBTC, oh, I like the positive premium, but I don't really have much to say on this right now. There's not much. We need when Bitcoin is consolidating, GBTC is not interesting because premium is not moving. The price needs to be moving. I continue to remain bullish on oil. I continue to remain bullish on gold. The correlation in the market is up, and yet the Bitcoin price is down a bit. I think this will change. I think the price of Bitcoin will probably rally later because the stock market is up. The weekly stock market is still looking pretty bullish, and I still think the market is more bullish than bearish. The Russian ruble is on an MRI buy opportunity on the daily right now today. It's holding support. It is holding the exact area where the ruble was pre troops entering Ukraine. Now, a lot of people say this is a fake price. Everything that has to do with Russia is labeled as Russian propaganda. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like it. The labeling of anything Russia is defaulted to it's a lie and it's propaganda. So it's hard to say what to think. I personally like to be on the ground and see things with my own eyes, but then no one still believes you because they are brainwashed by the mainstream media. I personally believe I've earned a reputation of honesty, having this YouTube channel for what is now, I think, 7 or 8 years. I think I started on YouTube in 2014, and it's really hard to call me on any lies in the 8 years I've been on YouTube. So when I go and attend the events of January 6th, and I go and like spend time uh, protesting with Proud Boys, my views on both of those situations, like the events of January 6th and my experience of hanging out with Proud Boys, are still labeled as, well, Tone is spreading propaganda because for some reason they don't believe me and what I saw and what I experienced. Now, I'm not saying what I saw and what I experienced is everything there, but being there gives me a different perspective than those that weren't there. So I'm not in Russia. I don't know the economic situation there. I don't know how accurate this exchange is. I don't know whether their shelves and their food is there or not there. Are the shelves empty? Are the shelves packed? I have no idea, right? So we have very little to go on, and anything that any video, well, most of the stuff from Russia, any videos and articles from Russia are either banned or labeled as Russian propaganda. And it's very hard to get the news because the Western media censors everything from Russia, and anything that slips through the censorship cracks gets labeled as lies. So you don't know what to think, right? You can't make a proper assessment of the situation. Personally, I have seen 80% of news coming out of Ukraine as proven lies, and that makes me totally skeptical on any news that comes out of Ukraine. But in the case of news out of Russia, I don't even have it. I don't even have it to evaluate it. What is the probability of this news out of Russia being fake or not? And I have, it's like the answer is MA, like you can't assess it. But when it comes for news out of the Ukraine, I have an assessment. I have an 80% likelihood that that news is a lie, based on, or maybe even higher, 80 to 90% news that coming out of Ukraine by the West is a lie. We know that from all the stuff that's been debunked and proven to be lies. But the stuff out of Russia, it's like you can't assess it. I mean, you just don't know because it's you just don't know. You can't make an assessment. Show us facts that Russia isn't invading Ukraine. Why would I do that? Why do you think that I think Russia didn't invade Ukraine? It's kind of like you're asking me, show me facts that 9/11 building, like the Twin Towers, fell because of fire burning, metal burning termites. I mean, no, that's insane. Why like I have my doubts about what happened in 9/11, but I know it wasn't fire breathing termites that ate the metal, right? So it's the same thing. I'm not in denial that Russians are in Ukraine, right? Like it's not a denial issue. It's the details on the ground issue. Yeah, well, you guys don't listen to my channel, right? I didn't say I was bullish on Russian news. I'm telling you, it's hard for me to assess Russian news because it's either censored or immediately labeled as propaganda without evidence of said propaganda. So it's very, very hard to evaluate Russian news. It's almost impossible. And there are no like Western reporters that you can trust in Russia reporting on Russian news. They're either not allowed to go there or they're there to spread anti-Russian propaganda. So you can't assess it, is what I'm saying. I know I have a very clear understanding of Western media propaganda because I was standing right there. I'm watching something with my eyes, and I'm looking at my phone, and I'm seeing what CNN is saying that I am watching with my eyes, and they're not the same thing, right? So I have personally stood there and witnessed a million people listening to Trump while CNN is saying no one is there. It's like 10 to 15,000 people, right? Like they didn't even say 10,000. I think they said even less, right? So I know exactly what Western propaganda does because I was there. So I can assess that in real time. I was also all over the whole COVID situation. And if you think if you think COVID was one-sided debate and one side censored and one side shown, the Ukraine situation is even worse. The censorship and one-sided public uh, information for you to absorb on the Ukraine situation is more one-sided than the COVID situation. But they're banning less. I will admit that the banning of accounts, like the banning of YouTube channels, the banning of Twitter accounts, the actual cancel culture by the media, not by the people. So here's the weird part. Like, again, guys, I'm not talking about anything specific when it comes to Russia versus Ukraine, because I'm not up to date. I'm not up to speed on the details of what's going on there. So I'm speaking more in general term. In general term, the cancel culture, not by the people, not by the users of Twitter, not by the users of YouTube. The cancel culture by the administrators of Twitter and YouTube were harsher on the COVID opinions that they didn't agree with. The people were more tolerant of the opposite opinion. This has switched in the Ukraine versus Russia conflict, where I guess people learned, I mean, because of the cancel culture by the administrators of YouTube and Twitter over the COVID situation, people are less cavalier in providing their opinion. Like, I'm very careful on what I say in this conflict in order not to get canceled this early. So, but the cancel culture by the users of these platforms is 10 times stronger than it was during the COVID conflict. So even though you could be, showing both sides of the issue, like you couldn't show both sides of the issue. People that showed both sides of the COVID debate got their Twitter accounts banned. You can show both sides of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I don't see as much banning of accounts that are showing you, that are a little more pro-Russia than you were pro-vaccine. Like you say vaccines are dangerous, gone. Your account could be banned, right? You go on Joe Rogan's show, gone. Your account's banned, right? So they're not doing that in this case, not as cavalier. But the people, oh God, you say, hey, maybe we should think about this from the Russian point of view and maybe try to avoid a nuclear war. And the users of Twitter just go apeshit. God forbid you provide a solution that prevents a nuclear war. They go like, they go bananas. They're like, you're a pro-Putin Russian spreading propagandist, right? God forbid you say, maybe there should be a deal here. Maybe the United States shouldn't try to send troops because that could potentially and send nukes across the world. And people go nuts. They go nuts. Like that is a unreasonable state. All right, guys. That's it. I don't really have anything else to add other than censorship's bad. Oh, Bitcoin monthly RSI. I thought I took a look at that. Bitcoin monthly RSI. I took a look at that. It doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't, the RSI tells me nothing. The RSI tells me that we had a lower high in the RSI creating divergence. Okay, that's divergence. You had a higher price with a lower RSI. That is divergence. Now, divergence tends to lead the price to a lower swing low. It did not do that. Okay, the price had a higher low, and the RSI had a lower low. This may be a concept of hidden divergence. I don't really care for hidden divergence. So the RSI tells me nothing. The RSI actually tells me nothing. It tells me that we had a lower low in the RSI, but we haven't had a higher high in the RSI, but we haven't had a higher price either, right? So if the price of Bitcoin makes a new high and the RSI makes a new high, then everything is in line and everything is bullish. But if the price makes a new high, but the RSI does not make a new high, which is very unlikely, by the way. If the price makes a new high, I'm 99% certain, so will the RSI. Okay, so the RSI to me is not useful or helpful. Hey, Tone, if the dollar collapses in the near future, would you consider moving to Russia? Well, just because the dollar, see, you make a very incorrect assumption. Just because the dollar collapses doesn't mean that Russia is the biggest beneficiary. The dollar could collapse and the ruble can collapse, right? And China can take over. The dollar could collapse because Russia and America nuked each other, right? Why would I move to Russia if they did, right? So would I move to Russia? I mean, unlikely. Would I even be welcomed back in Russia, right? I don't know. I never had an interest in moving to Russia. I had a bigger interest in moving to Ukraine. Not anymore, obviously. But I never had an interest in moving to Russia. Would I? I mean, the only way I would have I have an interest in moving to Latin America. Would I have an interest in moving to Russia eventually? Well, if Russia is the new global superpower, like America's been a global superpower for 50 to 60 years, and America was the best place to live for a while. Can that be Russia in the future? I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. You see, you not considering the possibility that in 5 to 10 years, Russia could be the best place to live. It's probably better than China. I would probably well, again, this conflict changed a lot. Would I prefer to live in Russia over China at the moment because of how hated Russia is? No. Would I want to live in China? I don't think so. But again, I have a tough time assessing living in China because I've never been to China. I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Macau, but I've never been to Beijing. I've never been to Shanghai. I've never been to Shenzhen, and I've never been to any of those other areas. My knowledge of China is very, very limited because I've never been there. I also don't speak the language. See, you guys are making it so black and white, right? I speak Russian. That's a big advantage. Living in a place where you don't speak the language is very challenging. It is difficult. Personally, I am looking at Latin America. I am interested in living in Latin America, somewhere in Latin America, from Mexico all the way down to Argentina. Okay, any one of those countries, for me personally, is more interesting to live in than Russia. My next area of where I would be interested in after that is, again, we're talking long into the future, is probably, I don't want to say Africa because I think Africa is too far away, right? But maybe Southeast Asia, maybe in that region. Georgia is one of my favorite places, but Georgia is dangerous right now because of its proximity to Russia and the way ships may land. I don't know. I've been to Moscow. I've been to St. Petersburg. I'm not a huge fan. So it's unlikely I would be moving back to Russia. But prior to this conflict, yeah, I was interested in getting my Ukrainian passport and potentially my Russian passport back. It would be a lot easier for me to get my Ukrainian passport. It is hard for me to get my Russian passport. But a Russian passport was more interesting to me than a Ukrainian passport because a Ukrainian passport doesn't give me any advantages in my life to travel the world. But a Russian passport was giving me advantages to travel the world, whether I had interest in moving there or not. I mean, you have to consider all points of view and all possible options, but you have to have the mental capacity to think about it, right? Like if you only think about one side of an issue, I mean, like, are you ignoring the other side? Are you not able to, separate the information? I mean, look, you can't rule out living in Russia in 30 years. I mean, look at North Vietnam. I mean, it was a communist country, right? Like the US lost the war in Vietnam in the 70s, okay? Vietnam was communist, right? Like who would dare live in Vietnam in the 80s and 90s? But hey, I know a lot of people that moved out to Vietnam 20 years later. Meanwhile, places like Libya were very livable before the US went in there and started bombing the shit out of it. Who would move to Libya now? How will Russia be a superpower with an economy that's only as big? I was reading that. I don't know why it was retracted. The idiots on the left will cause China to take over. Right. So the reason why I'm not high on moving to Asia anymore, right? Because I think China can take over Thailand and Malaysia and Hong Kong and Korea. Because if the US and Russia kill each other, Southeast Asia is the first place that China can just literally take over. Literally, and South America is the last place that they will probably take over. Okay. China is already they're already halfway to taking over Australia and Canada. So And Europe is just done. Like, here's where I don't really have an interest in. I don't really have an interest in living in Western Europe. I mean, I haven't been to Portugal yet, so I don't want to judge Portugal, but I don't really have an interest in Europe. UK is a little bit different. UK is better. It's even better now that they've tried to exit the EU. Hopefully they will exit the EU. I can only assess properly places I've been to. I've been through most of Western Europe, and I know I don't want to live there. I mean, it's fun to visit, but I don't want to live there. I'm liking Panama. Hey, Khaleesi, thanks for joining. Elon bought a large share of Twitter. I don't have any thoughts. Okay, guys, it's supposed to be a short video. I'm done. Just don't believe everything you read from the Western media. That's all I'll tell you. Try to get some knowledge of other sources that you can trust. I have to get out of Canada. Everyone needs to get out of Canada. I don't know. Everyone needs to get out of Canada. Yeah, you can't get out. You're unvaccinated. Good luck. Like, would I rather live in Canada or in Russia? That's a hard question. I wouldn't want to. I know I don't want to live in Canada. I'm not saying I want to live in Russia, but I sure as hell, I don't even want to visit Canada. I can guarantee you guys this. I will probably, I can't say definitely because I don't know. I don't know anything definitively. But there's a way higher probability I would visit Russia and Ukraine before I visit Canada. Though it'll be tricky to visit both Russia and Ukraine, right? If I'm going into Russia with Ukrainian stamps in my passport, that's not good. If I'm going into Ukraine with a Russian stamp in my passport, that's also not good, right? So I need, like two separate passports or something, but they probably know anyway. The point is, I have zero interest, zero whatsoever, of ever visiting Canada, ever visiting Australia again in my life. I don't even want my kids in the future visiting those communist countries. If you guys get rid of Trudeau, there's a higher probability it'll be worse. If you guys think you're going to get rid of Trudeau and it will get better, you guys voted for him for 3 elections in a row. 3 elections in a row. What does that say about the Canadians if you voted for him 3 elections in a row? Now, if he cheated, then, and you get rid of the cheating, then it's different, right? Like, I don't think Americans voted for Biden. Like, the only reason to still stay in America is if you think that the Democrats cheated and if there is a possibility that the cheating could be removed in the future. If Americans actually voted for Biden, it's time to get the hell out of America, because it says something about the American people and how like insane the country is becoming. So if Trudeau was actually voted in honestly for 3 elections, the next guy will probably be worse. Really? Only 60% of Canadians are still wearing their masks, not 90? Like, see, this is the dilemma. The only reason to still stay in America is if Americans were smart enough not to elect Biden, but he's there because the Democrats cheated. You get rid of the cheating, and now see what happens in a true, honest election, and see who wins. And if there is a true, honest election in the U.S. and a Bernie Sanders wins, it's time to get the hell out. But if there is a true, honest election and an actual capitalist wins, I'm not saying it has to be Trump, just has to be someone that cares about, you know, capitalism versus communism. If an honest person wins, then it's better. Then there's a reason to stay. So there you go. All right. Looking at your comments. How will Russia be a global superpower with a low GDP? Get rid of corruption. Russia is a big enough country. They have good natural resources. They can produce their own food. They produce energy. Their GDP can skyrocket. All they have to do is get rid of corruption and, you know, but somehow get rid of the biased Western media, but that one is tricky. Russia will not become a global superpower. It won't be easy. Won't be easy. Any country can do it. Japan almost did it. They have no natural resources. Russia has a lot of smart people. You know how Russia can do it? If it's smart people stay in Russia and not flee. That's the problem. The problem is the brain drain. The problem is the brain drain. Too many smart Russian people want to get out of Russia and live somewhere else. That happens for many reasons. Back in the day when my family fled Soviet Union, it was the fact that the country was communist. Today, why would you flee Russia if you're a smart, ambitious person? Well, it's not as capitalist as it can be, and it still has a lot of corruption. if that can be turned, and not only are the smartest Russian people stay in Russia, Russia attracts smart people from other parts of the world, there is nothing stopping it from being a world superpower. There's nothing stopping any country. Dubai, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, could be the strongest country in the world. Because if that's where the smartest people want to live, that's what it will be. See, America has benefited by the smartest people in the world wanting to come to America. They were coming here for freedom. They were coming here for capitalism. They were coming here for many reasons. They were coming here for a rule of law. They were coming here because it was the least corrupt country, not the least corrupt country, but the least big corrupt country. It was the most transparent. It had markets. That's why smartest people wanted to come here. That's what makes it a superpower. It's not the US military. I explained this in my Telegram group. What most people don't comprehend is the trend. The trend. Is America today more capitalist than Russia? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. But has Russia, the trajectory of Russia being more capitalist versus 10, 20 years ago, it's increased. Is America more capitalist today than 10 or 20 years ago? The answer is no. The answer is no. So you don't see the trend. And when the trend flips, you won't be able to leave, okay? Canada was moving into the communist direction for decades. Do you know when people realized that Canada may be socialist and maybe a little too communist for their taste? When their bank account got frozen and when they weren't allowed to leave the country. You see, if you don't recognize the trend, you will not be able to do shit. You can laugh all you want about me considering Russia a possibility. You can laugh at that all you want. But you know what? When that day comes, it'll be too late for you because you didn't see the trend. You didn't see the trend of Russia becoming more and more capitalist every year for 30 years, while America was becoming less and less capitalist and more socialist every year for 10 years. These trends start slow, and then they go too quick for you to do shit about it. The time to make plans to leave Canada were not after you got your account frozen. It was on any day in the 20 years before that. But you were laughing at other people calling your country communist. What America makes in 1 month, Russia makes in 12. And a few years ago, or a decade ago, what America made in a day, Russia made in 12. And today, it's what America makes in a month, Russia makes in 12. And next year, it might be what America makes in 2 months, Russia makes in 12. But you know what happens when what America makes in a year, Russia makes in a month? When that trend happens, you have no idea. And I'm not saying that trend's gonna happen, right? But if you're mentally not prepared for it, and you keep laughing about it, right? Do you know how many people laughed at me when I said, why on earth would you ever live in Canada? You know when they realized it? When their bank account got frozen. It's like everyone is laughing. Why would you hold Bitcoin when you can hold dollars? You know when you realize when you need to hold Bitcoin? When your American dollar account gets frozen. And guess what happens when that happens? It's too late. You can't convert your dollars into Bitcoin when you don't have access to your dollars anymore. Russia will only imprison you for 15 years if you don't go along with their propaganda. US does the same. They're just not as open about it, right? People that protested on January 6th are sitting in prison without charges or a trial. Is that better? How's that different? How's that different, Big A? Come on, Big A. Do you know how many people that, walked into the Capitol building that their tax money pays for, took a selfie, and are sitting in prison without a trial? How's that any different? Explain to me how that's different. Yeah, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Ross Ulbricht. 2 life sentences plus what, 70 years? I'm not saying Ross Ulbricht's a saint. Just saying he didn't deserve 2 life sentences plus 30 years. I was there on January 6th. That wasn't terrorism. You can't storm the Capitol without consequences. Well, no trial, right? They're in prison, no charges, no trial, right? You just make excuses. You just make excuses to fit your narrative. Making excuses to fill your narrative. No one cared how many police the peaceful protesters killed during the George Floyd riots. No one gave a shit about them then. Why do you care about them now? Right? And I think only one was killed. So when you say plural, that's factually incorrect. And even that one was it was an accident. It was trampled. I think. Don't even hold me to that. Like I said, I was there. I was there. The violence on Jan 6 was very minimal. Was very minimal. Because I was there. I was there to see it. I was there to see the minimal violence on January 6th. I saw people with babies. So people with babies there. Violence was minimal. The peaceful BLM protests sure as hell weren't peaceful. All right, gotta go, guys. Talk to you all later. Am I still live?